So we can go ahead and get started. I'm going to call to order the June 24th, 2025 Beaverton Urban Redevelopment Agency meeting to order. Will the recorder please call the roll?
Yes, Chair. Board Member Duggar,
I am here.
Hartmeyer-Prigg,
Here.
Don,
Here.
Peter,
Here.
Tivnon, Beatty,
Here.
Hanning,
Here.
Nye,
Here.
Walton.
It appears she is still waiting to be let in.
Yes, we'll promote her right now. Thank you for that. Lair.
Here.
Here.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, and I didn't hear Kimmy, but Kimmy is excused.
Yes, he is absent. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everybody. The first item on our agenda tonight is visitor comments. Visitor comments allow visitors to speak with the Bureau Board about matters that are not included on tonight's agenda. Recording Secretary, do we have anybody here who is wanting to address the Bureau Board?
No, Chair.
Okay, great. Well, then our first item of business is executive session. So we'll be moving into executive session in accordance with ORS 192.6602E to conduct deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to negotiate real property transactions. Under Oregon law, members of the news media are allowed to attend. However, it is the Bureau Board's requirement that the items discussed in executive session not be disclosed by media representatives or others. Any action that the Bureau Board may take on matters discussed in executive session will be done in open session after executive session concludes. So board members, please use the other link provided to you for executive session, and for the public, we will be back after executive session. See y'all in a minute. Board member Nye, I'll call on you.
Yes, sorry. I forgot we were going to executive session right away. I have a conflict of interest. So during the executive session, I will be dismissing myself when we get to that item on the agenda, and I will rejoin the meeting later.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're ready. Oh, nope. Robin.
Board Member Nye, would you please just state the nature of your conflict?
My firm, my employer, was
Is
part
involved.
of the team, is involved in one of the items. Yeah.
Okay, I think that covers it. Okay, then we're ready. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you all in a minute. Okay, everybody.
Welcome back.
I was waiting in the wrong room. Okay, are we waiting on anybody else?
We should be ready to go.
Okay, thank you. And again, sorry for the delay. We are now back from executive session. Board members, does any member have a motion for us to consider?
Yes, Chair. I move to authorize staff to begin exclusive negotiations with community partners for affordable housing and urban development partners of the Bureau-owned Lombard West site located at 1S110CC tax lot 1303.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, recorder, can you please call the roll?
Yes. Board Member Duggar,
Yes.
Hartmeyer-Prigg,
Yes.
Hassan,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Tivnon,
Yes.
Beatty,
Yes.
Hanning,
Yes.
Nye, or I'm sorry, I know she was not participating. Walton
Yes.
and Lair.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much, everybody. Do we need to get board member Nye back in here for the consent agenda?
Yep, I'm getting her as we speak.
Great, thank you. I will wait a minute.
And Board Member Nye is present.
Great, thank you. And we're actually going to board communications first. So does any board member have any information that they would like to share with the rest of the board and the executive director?
Hey, sorry, do you mind if I just
Go
jump in,
ahead.
Counselor? I think I saw something around construction happening in Central Beaverton, and I'm sure that staff knows about it, but I just want to remind everyone to shop at your local businesses because sometimes they get affected and impacted by the construction. So I'm not going to name them all, but make sure you shop at your local businesses this week. Thanks.
Board Member Hessen. Okay, I see no other names. Nobody else is raising their hand or anything. So we'll move on to the consent agenda portion of our agenda. There are two sets of Bureau minutes for our consideration tonight. These are the regular meetings of February 24th and April 22nd, 2025, and one consent item. It's Bureau Bill 2025-16, the intergovernmental agreement between Bureau and the City of Beaverton for Oregon 8 Canyon Road pedestrian safety improvements located between Southwest Watson Avenue and Southwest Cedar Hills Boulevard. Do I have a motion for the consent agenda?
Sure, Chair. I'll make a motion to pass the consent agenda.
You got a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Hartmeyer Prick gets it. Any discussion on the consent agenda? Okay. Seeing none, we can call the roll. Reporter, please.
Board Member Duggar,
Yes.
Hartmeyer Prague,
Yes.
Hassan,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Tivnon,
Yes.
Beatty,
Yes.
Hanning,
Yes.
Nye,
Yes.
Walton,
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Motion passes 10-0.
Thank you, everybody. We will move forward with our business portion of the agenda, and we've got two items for tonight. The first business item is Bureau Bill 2025-17, the intergovernmental agreement between Bureau and the City of Beaverton for the Downtown Loop Demonstration Project, located at Southwest Hall and between Southwest 1st Street and Southwest 3rd Street. So Kara Hall will have a short PowerPoint presentation, and after that, we'll have some conversation with board and staff. So Kara, whenever you're ready. I'm sorry, is it Kara or Kara? I always get mixed up.
Okay, it is Kara, so you got it right.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Okay. Good evening, Chair Teeter and Bureau Board members. This evening, we're asking you to approve Bureau Bill 2025-17, which authorizes the Bureau Executive Director to sign an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Beaverton and an expenditure of $5.9 million that was appropriated in Bureau's adopted fiscal year 25-26 budget to support implementation of the loop, which is part of Bureau's 5-year action plan. Before we do that, I have what will be a very brief presentation just to provide a quick update on where this first effort, our demonstration project, is. So just a reminder, the Downtown Loop is our complete street project that's aimed at connecting key destinations in our downtown by making it easier and more comfortable for people to walk, bike, and take transit. When it's complete, this 1.2-mile loop that features improvements on Watson, 5th, and Hall Boulevard will connect important destinations like our city library and our planned affordable housing for seniors project to the Reserve, Beaverton Central, and the Round. Because of the scale of this project, just the overall length, the cost of the total project, and the variation in context block by block through this area, it does require a phased implementation. So this evening, we're asking you to authorize the expenditure of funds that have been appropriated to support implementation of our demonstration project, which will be Hall Boulevard from 1st to 3rd. So improvements as part of the demonstration project include widening sidewalks on both sides of Hall Boulevard, reconstructing intersections at 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Streets with ADA compliant curb ramps and curb extensions to narrow the crossing distance. It'll provide a wider bicycle lane that includes vertical separation and improve the existing transit stop that's located just north of 2nd Street on Hall Boulevard. The city was awarded $5.6 million through federal appropriations to implement this demonstration project, and those funds required a match of $1.2 million and that the city be responsible for any additional funds needed to construct the project. Because the city of Beaverton is not certified to deliver projects with federal funding directly, we are partnering with the Oregon Department of Transportation to deliver this project. So today, the total project cost for the demonstration project stands at $11.6 million. That's based on our planning level cost estimate and the engineering assumptions that were made as part of the development of the concept plan, which is adopted in 2023. The federal match will cover $5.6 million of that. And our local match will be $5.9 million, which is what we're asking you to authorize this evening. So just a brief overview of where the demonstration project stands. So we were awarded the funding, and that allowed us to enter into an IGA with ODOT, which we did in August of 2024, and that allowed us to kick off scoping of the project. And staff has been working with ODOT to complete technical scoping documents as well as prepare information for the request for proposals to get a design team on board for that. Next steps for this include amending the IGA. So the IGA that we entered into with ODOT in August 2024 only included one round of federal funding that we had been awarded. So we need to update that amount to make sure we're capturing all $5.6 million in our IGA with ODOT. And the total cost estimate was still in development at that time. So we need to update the IGA to bring that into alignment as well. We'll be taking that to City Council in early July. So ahead of that, are asking BURA to authorize the expenditure of funds to support that project. We expect that later this summer, ODOT will be releasing that request for proposals, and we will be getting a consultant team on board to work with us through the design process. We will have 1 year to complete that process. In order to meet obligations for these federal funds, we do have to have construction documents ready to go by September of 2026. So we will be working on an expedited design process for this. With that, it will take us to construction in early 2027. And that is all I have. So I'm happy to take any questions at this time.
Thank you, Kara. Any questions or comments for Kara and staff? Board Member Duggar.
Yeah, thanks. Kara, thanks for this. This is phase one, right? So this is our opportunity to really get engagement and construction right. I know there are multiple businesses, for instance, and even some residences actually located in the demonstration area. So my hope is that in addition to demonstrating like a really great final product and something that can get our people excited about the loop, that we can also demonstrate proactive and really excellent engagement with those small businesses and those residents, right? Because if we get this right, you know, like the business community isn't that large. They talk to each other, they're friends, right? Like we can build trust for all the future phases. So I really want to emphasize proactive communication, open, you know, all of the things that we talk about a lot. I really please make our lives easier and get that right and get it extra right. You most of the businesses that I've talked to and the residences have been very, very reasonable. And I think we've got to get that part right. Like that's yeah. But I'm super excited to support this, and I think the downtown is ready for it. It just makes me a little nervous. So just want to make sure that I put that out there.
Absolutely. And many of those businesses were involved in development of the concept plan. And as we kick off that design phase, we will be reaching back out and engaging with those folks so we can bring them along through the design process, make sure that we're considering their needs, and planning ahead for the construction piece of this work.
Yeah, that's the part that like the construction actually, like everybody loves a beautiful design, but when it like affects people's ability to get to your business, I think that's the part where we really need to over communicate and then be really mindful of things like access and parking and stuff like that during that construction period to really build those processes. So I appreciate the comments here.
Mayor Beatty?
I mean, the amount of effort it took to get here, I'm glad we're here. This has been so many tours, so much federal funding that we secured long ago, renegotiation of getting things done, meeting after meeting after meeting with ODOT, talking about it in Salem, like to get to a demonstration to, we put in for a raised construction grant. We haven't heard about it or heard back from it, but I knew that this demonstration would be really pivotal for us to be able to get future money. So while this should have been done 3 years ago, which is not a fault of our own, like ODOT and timing, and sometimes when people wonder why it takes so long to get anything done in government, this is a prime example of we can't control our own destiny. We can't do the project without ODOT has to do it because it's federal money. So I just appreciate you took over this project that you weren't here for in the inception. You have ushered along and had all the federal guidelines and got all the things done. We were really deliberate about where we selected the first demonstration to be so we can address a lot of the things that John just talked about. Let's do it. Like, we need it. It's going to be great for the community, and we need to prove to our community that we can build things and government does work. And this is a great example of like how hard it's been to work, but we're still here to do it. So I'm super excited for this to be here tonight, and I'm excited to cut a ribbon or dig a hole or whatever we do to start a project.
Board Member Hudson?
Yeah, I'm just going to echo what both Councilor Duggar and Mayor Beatty shared about communicating with businesses around how this is going down and just making sure we're bringing folks along and that we're here. So I'm actually also going to make the motion just to move us along. I move to authorize the executive director to sign the intergovernmental agreement with the city of Beaverton for the downtown loop demonstration project.
I'll second it.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, I see or hear no discussion. So will the recorder please call the roll on the motion?
Yes, and I just want to confirm for that second, I got Duggar. Is that correct?
That was me.
Okay, thank you. Board Member Duggar?
Yes.
Thank you. Hartmeyer Prigg?
Yes.
Hassan?
Yes.
Teeter?
Yes.
Ivnon?
Yes.
Beatty?
For the record, hell yes. Thank you.
Hanning?
Yes.
Nye?
Yes.
Walton?
Yes.
And Lair?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes 10-0.
Okay, thank you, everybody. That was a big step in this process, so thank you. The next item on the business portion of our agenda is Bureau Bill 2025-18, the Beaverton Central Garage commercial lease with Fabo's Tacos LLC. So Megan Bronson is here with us today. Megan, you can go forward whenever you are ready.
Perfect. Thank you, Chair Teeter. Chair Teeter and Bureau Board members, good evening, and I appreciate your time this evening. My name is Megan Bronston. I work with the Community Development Department here at the City of Beaverton, and I am very excited to be before you this evening to give you a leasing update for the Beaverton Central Garage that Bureau owns. Tonight, I'll be requesting of the Bureau Board to first listen to an update on the leasing process in a couple years since we've last been before you, and then hopefully to adopt a resolution to authorize the executive director to execute a lease with Favos Tacos LLC to occupy the corner suite 140. So first, let me give you a leasing update. In the last couple of years since we've been before you, we have had a host of users interested in the vacant spaces that Bureau owns beneath the Beaverton Central Garage. And unfortunately, we just haven't been able to get any past the finish line before today. So earlier this year, we took a pause to figure out why was this happening. We were seeing leasing happening potentially in other places such as Old Town. Why were we not able to do so here? And we learned some lessons. We learned some lessons about what other landlords were doing, and we learned some lessons about really where the construction costs are, that the market had shifted because construction costs, as our brokerage team at NAI Elliott would tell you, have almost doubled in some of their cases from where the potential tenant was doing initial budgeting through, okay, they finally got their construction costs, double the cost had occurred, killing a lot of deals. And so landlords were faced with having two choice options. One, okay, that means we'll also help with the increase in construction costs and we'll give an increase in tenant improvement allowance up front. To get our money back, however, ultimately, that means we need to increase the rent and probably ask for longer terms. So landlords were either making that choice or they were making the choice to just allow their spaces to remain vacant longer until someone, a user with that could handle a little bit larger price up front, or maybe a user that wasn't the best user for the space or the ideal user for the space to go in. Because we realized that construction prices are not going to go down, waiting did not seem like it was in our best choice. So we went before the Internal Real Estate Committee, REC, and asked them if we could do two new things. One, we wanted to change our processes, and two, we wanted to change our deal terms, and they approved. And so just a few months ago, we were able to implement. First, we wanted to get a go, no-go point faster. We were taking months to get to the point where we would realize with a deal, this is actually not going to work out for either party. So how could we get there sooner? We were letting tenants basically take the wheel in the beginning. It was their job to come up with a business plan, which ultimately, frankly, shows how much do they assume they're going to be paying in rent? How much do they think construction costs are going to be in year one, et cetera? And then ultimately, they're the ones who gave us a letter of intent, the first draft of a letter of intent, which is the deal terms that go into a lease. That meant between the point where they apply and that was months. And it wasn't until we were able to give comments on their business plan where they were able to hear anything about what we were looking for. We decided we want to be transparent. We want to be equitable. Let's make sure we've now been doing this for years. We have a handle on what the range of our deal terms could be. How about we show those up front? So we've started showing those up front, when they're ready to start creating their business plan, we're sending them, here's a draft deal points that we might consider and something to start negotiating within. The second was going along the lines of, we're going to have to also shell out additional money to be able to meet those increased construction costs. So let's have deal points that actually include a higher tenant improvement allowance, especially for the two restaurant spaces, because it's so important that first tenant into new construction, that first time we make it our restaurant, it's going to be expensive and we want to do it right. And then subsequent leases after that, when they just have a new tenant come in that just need to do a refresh, will be a lot cheaper. But we wanted to make sure we did it right the first time. So let's provide a higher tenant improvement allowance, which means we're going to request an increase in rent and we're going to increase in longer lease terms. So that way, by the time the lease term ends, we have made our money back. So utilizing that new information, we went out and we have found immediately a wonderful new tenant for our anchor corner space. So as a reminder, the evaluation criteria that we, the staff, have been using, Bureau created using the key principles in these goals. You wanted us to recruit active businesses that were open during regular hours and were publicly accessible. You wanted us to recruit businesses that promote arts and innovation in the district, that support diversity, both in the business ownership side and the customers that they draw in, to ensure business viability, always important, and to curate a collection of tenants with a mix of ownership experience levels. With that being said, we have always assumed that this corner space, Suite 140 shown here, is really the anchor space. And so we really needed to make sure it was someone who had some experience and could really hit the ground running when they opened their doors. So today we're talking about Suite 140. For those who are watching who are not familiar with the site plan, Southwest Rosebiji Avenue is there on the left-hand side. The entrance to the parking garage is at the top. Crescent Street is at the bottom, which means the Reeser is off the screen to the right. And Suite 140, which we're talking about today, has outdoor seating options on the Rosebiji side and is nestled between our two current tenants, Grey Raven Gallery and Mama and Papa's. So let me tell you about the tenant. I'm so excited. So Favo's Tacos is a family-owned, family-operated Mexican taqueria offering Mexican street food and street culture. They started in 2021 by opening as a taco window in Portland's Old Town and immediately also started doing pop-up events. And so they were popping up at events that were in the waterfront, but they also started immediately making relationships with their neighbors. And several clubs who like to do events started using them as maybe a food vendor. They then became so popular that those events, whether again on the waterfront or were from those clubs and fellow businesses in downtown having events and using them, they started featuring them on their marketing, saying X event featuring Favo's Tacos because they knew that they would draw in even more customers if they featured them. So in 2023, they opened their first full restaurant. And after 2 years of owning their first full restaurant and knowing that they could do this and they could be successful, they realized their heart wasn't actually in Old Town. Their heart was in Beaverton, and they wanted to follow that heart. And so they did it. They immediately closed. By the end of 2024, they closed down the restaurant that they had and immediately opened a cart in downtown Beaverton because that's where they wanted to be. They got a 6-month lease, and it was this beautiful blue cart that was located in the bakery block, so right there at Hall and Broadway, where Canard is currently under construction, our soon-to-be French restaurant. But knowing Canard was coming in, it could only be a 6-month lease. It could not be ongoing. But they were going to find the perfect space, and they were going to be able to open, so they only needed a 6-month lease. Well, these deals take a little longer than 6 months to put together. So in June, they hopped over to another 6-month lease over at the Breakside food carts, all for the purpose of making sure that they could start building that Beaverton clientele. So by the time they open, hopefully in our building, they already are full. In 2026, they hope to be able to open their doors in Beaverton Central. They're hoping for a February-ish opening. So from Portland restaurant to Beaverton food cart, Favo's Tacos has prided themselves in bringing authentic taqueria experience that you aren't going to find in other taquerias in the United States. Examples of some of the authentic Mexican street food include their El Pastor tacos, cut fresh off the spinner, which is what you see there with the spinning meat here. It happens to be so labor intensive, however, that when they opened their cart here in Beaverton, they were only able to offer it once a week. However, they sold out every single time and had lines down the street because it's so popular and is something that isn't offered a lot in the area. Other authentic dishes that they offer are garnachas, sopas, suadero. Each of these, again, rarely found in U.S. taquerias, plus a whole line of tacos, which I can tell you from my fellow staff that have been going down to to their cart during lunch, highly amazing tacos. But they're more than just food. You are going to see one of their main taglines is tacos and tequila. So they also have a whole line of handmade tacos handmade cocktails with fresh ingredients. So two of my favorites that sound really good there's a henny chata made. They have a house-made dairy-free horchata that they mix with Hennessy cognac. And we can't forget about the El Cucuy. So Cucuy is a Mexican folklore that translates to boogeyman or gremlin. It's a mythical character used to scare children into good behavior. This amazing cocktail, they start with cucumber and lime, and then they get a little crazy, and we can stop it there probably. So let's get to the nitty gritty, the lease terms. Lease terms here for 1,782 square feet, remember, and here, I'm sorry, the site plan, I turned it. So just know Crescent is now on the right and Rosebiji's on the bottom. It's a 6-year term. So most restaurant terms that I have worked with are usually around 5 years as the standard term. However, again, because we are putting so much money up front, even with the increase of rent on per year, we still want to make sure we still needed to add to the 1 year to make sure that we are breaking even there. And we do that halfway through year 6, as you can see on the bottom. We start at $30 a square foot per year in year 1, and then increase $1 a year for that first term, that first lease, so all the way through year 6. And then we assume if we all renew, a 3% annual escalation after that, 6 months free rent, and then a tenant improvement allowance of $150 a square foot. We also negotiated on HVAC costs. So HVAC we assume is going to be around $50,000. They have agreed to pay the first $25,000, and then we'll pay after that. This is something actually that we as the landlord will be installing prior to them starting their tenant improvement work. And then all of the tenants are getting a $5,000 sign allowance to really help make sure that they have a quality sign up there above the awning, for a total of $297,300 tenant improvement allowance. Okay, so my request tonight of BURA is that the BURA board please adopt the resolution authorizing the executive director to execute a lease with Fabos Tacos LLC to occupy Suite 140 within the Beaverton Central Parking Garage. And with that, I'd love to take questions.
Thank you, Megan. I see Board Member Duggar. You can go first.
Yeah, I'm trying to think how to ask these questions. Are we concerned about the amount of rate signaling to the market? That seems like a lot per square foot. And what I don't want are comps to go up because of what we're doing here. And do we have any concerns around that? And do we have concerns around that, I'm understanding 24, 25 bucks a square foot in Old Town is kind of the going rate, or at least like that seems a little high too. And I don't want to advocate for less money for BURA. That's not what I'm advocating for, but I am advocating for sustainability with our tenants and making sure that we, if there's a way we could structure the lease or think about that in terms of creating that stability. So I just want to get your thoughts on that. Those two questions, like signaling the market and then tenant stability, and like how we can ensure that from a leasing and policy perspective.
That is a great question. Thank you, Board Member Duggar.
Just Duggar, whatever. Whatever.
To the answer to the first question, and kind of the answer to both is this is where the market is headed. And so we have always prided ourselves on making sure that our rents are at market. The market has shifted. And so the increase in rent to $30, the new construction that just opened on Broadway over at Madeira, oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Madeira. Thank you. Is advertising at $36, I believe, per square foot.
For the restaurant space?
Mm-hmm. Now that doesn't mean that that's what their final deal negotiations are. That's what, if I'm remembering correctly, is $35, $36 over there for advertising. Other new construction that we have elsewhere in the city, some of them are even higher. Some of them are even in the 40s, which just seems really high to me. But again, we last 2 years ago when we came before you, we assumed that we were at $28 a square foot, and that happens to be actually where our two current tenants are. Was they started at $28 a square foot? Oh, $28 we assumed was rent. I don't believe that was year 1, but it is what the going rate rent for the assumption was 2 years ago. Excuse me. And so right now our brokerage team has told us that the $30 a square foot is appropriate. Now going to the tenant improvement allowance of having the landlord take on about half or sometimes a little bit more than half of the cost of construction is what landlords are having to do right now, which is where we are right now. So the cost of this is in the $500,000, $550,000 range. If I remember, don't quote me again on that one, but we're right about in that range. I don't have it in front of me. But again, your concerns have been heard, and that's absolutely one of the things that we always ask our brokerage team is to ensure that we are not changing the market by what we're doing. We want to be in the market.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know enough about local dynamics, but I don't want government raising the price for everyone else. So that's just one of the things that are always on my mind is like for rents or for purchase prices or things like that. Like I don't want us in front of the market driving it. Then inadvertently, certainly we would never mean to do that, but inadvertently harming our neighbors by doing that. So, but I guess if we're at least under what others are asking, I don't know if we can follow up over time with that. Like, I'd be curious to know what some of the other newer properties are getting, Because if they end up asking 36, but they end up landing at like 28 or something, I don't know if we have flexibility in our terms. Like again, as we're structuring the lease, us to start thinking about that. Because again, I would much rather have a tenant. You made a comment, and I know you didn't mean it this way, but like, I don't want these tenants to have to leave, right? We don't want a second tenant in this space. We want a family to stay here for a long time. And I know that's what you meant
Totally.
too, but like, I would much rather figure out a way to keep them. But thank you for this. It's really exciting. I share your excitement. I want some tacos now.
Thank you, Board Member Duggar. I see Mayor Beatty.
I just called the city manager like a week ago and was like, what the hell is going on with this space? We need something in here. And I mean this in the best way. This has been the best Bureau meeting in a long time. And so I don't know if you guys all purposely stacked all the best things that are happening at one time. The Loop, tacos and tequila, approval of amazing housing complex, but I don't know. Probably should have sprinkled this out a little bit more, but tonight I would just say like we're going into summer recess on a high. I appreciate the reworking of how we're doing this, and also with the cost of borrowing money right now, coming up with these upfront costs is really expensive. So us taking on the cost and putting it in the lease over a long term, I mean that's a huge value add when money's 6 or 7% to borrow right now. And so this really is getting somebody into a space with all of the best scenario, and other people's like putting that much capital up front is nearly impossible, which is why we haven't been able to rent this space. So kudos on figuring out a way to get it done, getting literally the best food in the planet in the space right here next to City Hall where I work. And I'm sure that you knew my love language was tacos and tequilas, and that's why you brought this to us. So I appreciate it. Awesome work.
Thank you, Mayor. Go to my Vice Chair, Lair. Vice Chair Lair.
So, first off, I'll preface by saying I'm not at all an expert in the space, but the TI allowance seems really high. Is that, I mean, first off, is it for a project like this? And if so, is that a deliberate thing to try to provide a subsidy from Bureau, from the city to get people in here?
Yes, it is it is higher than we were seeing 2-3 years ago. That being said, it's not high for where construction costs are, unfortunately, right now. And so especially again, we have to remember this is new construction. So compared to what an old town renovation can do, is much different than here, than new construction. But it's not necessarily high. Again, like I was talking to Board Member Duggar, it's not higher than necessarily where the market is, but it is high. But it also meets our values of wanting to make sure that all of those that list of goals that Bureau has, we're trying to make sure that we can bring those in. You might be able to get a Subway or a 7-Eleven. I actually have no idea. The chain restaurants, the folks that we're not necessarily wanting in here, might be able to take less of a hit, less of a tenant improvement allowance, but that's not where we are.
Well, to me, bringing quesadilla tacos to this area is absolutely worth the extra cost. So I'm all for it.
Great.
Thank you.
Board Member Hudson.
Yeah, thank you. This is super lovely. I am really excited to support this. I do want to ask, just in general, if we can keep an eye on just like traffic and activity in this area. I've been in that area in the mornings, in the days, in the nights, and it's a very ever-changing area. And I just want to make sure we're setting up businesses to be successful. So not specific to this, but just like, how is traffic going? How are other I know we have other folks. They might be in the garage space, but in that area, and just like kind of tracking for that. So I'm super excited for this. It's just something I'm thinking about as I look to the future, as we look to hopefully fill the other open spaces. Like I would love for your expertise, Megan, in the future to come back to us and say, we're seeing a lot of traffic at this time, not so much traffic at this time. Like a part of me is like really excited for tacos. And then also like, are we going to have the right traffic and energy in this area? So just to move us along, I'll make the motion. I move to adopt resolution 2025-068, authorizing the executive director to sign a lease with Babos Tacos LLC for retail space in the Beaverton Central Garage.
There's a motion on the floor. So is there a second for the motion?
I'll second it, but I'm curious to hear what Councilor Tivnon says too. I guess I can second and then we can do that.
I think Jennifer was also in the
Oh, and sorry.
number 9.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, we will go with board member Nye first.
Yeah, I think just a couple things. I appreciate staff working on this. It was something that I've heard a lot from prospective tenants that have walked away from the leasing negotiations, that it has been a very difficult process. So I appreciate the effort. I hope it goes well, goes better in the future. And I think, Megan, can you correct me if I'm wrong? Part of the reason the TI cost is so high compared to what you might be seeing out in the market is the tenants have to pay prevailing wages on this, which is not something you would typically have on a market rate building. So that is driving up our tenant improvement costs that we're seeing in tenants in this building. So having a higher allowance, that is one of the elements that I heard feedback about specifically, is the allowance just wasn't cutting it and they were having to pay a lot more than if they went across the street to a different building.
Thank you, board member Nye. I can tell you that we had one restaurant tenant that was looking at Suite 110 and accidentally got quotes without prevailing wage. So we got to know the difference between without and with, and it was a $60,000 difference. And so that's not for the corner space. It was for a lighter weight, I don't even know if that's the right term, restaurant, which means it would be more for this type of restaurant. Did I interrupt you, board member Nye? Okay.
Thank you both. Go to board member Tivnon.
Thank you. Very excited about this. I think that that's one of the missing pieces, was having a really popular, delicious food alternative right there on that corner that's going to help bring additional focus and attention to the other tenants that have taken up residence in that building. So it's exciting to think about what could happen for the neighboring businesses in addition to Favo's Tacos. I do think about the, to Councilor Husson's point about the traffic impacts, specifically about the parking impacts, just knowing we've got price parking over off, and it's reasonably priced, everybody. It's a great option in the parking garage. But we also have the surface level right there that I know the folks that are utilizing City Hall will use that parking lot quite a lot. So if there's a way to maybe allocate some of the spots that are in that parking lot to say like for City Hall, I don't know. Just for people that are going there that need to access City Hall, that we don't necessarily want to see them have to get priced to do that. I don't know, just something to throw around out there. And that's it.
I agree that that parking lot will get full. Just as a quick reminder, anyone who comes to City Hall can park in the other parking garage at no cost.
Is that signage up for folks that are visiting? Is that known? If it is, my eyes glaze right past it.
I know, I flashed my badge, so I don't remember.
You do need to get validated. Sorry, I just want to jump
Yes,
in.
you do
Usually
have
with
to validate.
the parking. So
Yeah, maybe if I'll keep my eyes peeled, but if it's a great service. If the signage is there and I've just been there so many times I don't see it anymore, that's on me. But it might be an opportunity to just enhance the wayfinding for folks that are trying to access services within the City Hall building.
Great.
Thank you both. I've got a comment on the lease agreement, and it's detailed, but I think it's really important. So Exhibit F on page 58 of the agreement, it's got this timeline that's showed here on the lease terms on the left of this PowerPoint slide you've got pulled up, Megan. But in the lease agreement document, The timeline jumps. It's going in about 12-year increments, but I think it's around year 4 or 5. There's an increment that goes from month 37 to month 60, which would be a 2-year increment at $33 per square foot. And so I want to make sure that
You're
we've
mentioning a
got,
typo, and thank you.
what's that?
It sounds like you have found us a typo,
Okay,
which
yeah,
luckily this is why you're authorizing the executive director to sign the lease. And so typos can still be fixed as long as nothing substantive is found.
okay,
Now
okay, good.
I'm signing. Thank you.
Okay, so
Chair
that's
Teeter.
nothing that's needed, that we don't need to amend the motion or anything. Staff can make sure that's correct before it's signed, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Then I am good. I'm good here. I'm very excited about this. I know you and staff have been working on this for a very long time, with ups and downs along the way. I also feel like I remember seeing, could have been 4 or 5 years ago now, we had a study about rental rates, the going rates in Old Town and Beaverton Central, maybe 2019 or so. And they were getting up near $30 a square foot back then, if I'm remembering correctly. So it is high, but the market's been headed this way for a while, if I'm remembering correctly. Okay. Thank you for the clarification, Megan. That's helpful. I don't see any other names in the chat. So if there's no other discussion on the motion, not seeing anybody, then Recorder, can you please call the roll?
Yes, Chair. Board Member Duggar,
Yes.
Hartmeyer Prairie,
Yes.
Hassan,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Tivnon,
Yes.
Beatty,
Yes.
Hanning,
Yes.
Nye,
Yes.
Walton,
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Motion passes 10-0.
Thank you. Well done, staff. I know this has been a long process, so this is really exciting. We are going to move on now to the executive director's report. Andy, do you have any items for us tonight?
Yes, thank you, Chair Teeter. I will be brief since the mayor already said this has been the best Bureau meeting in a long time. I feel like I can only help make it better.
Don't ruin it, Andy. Do not ruin it.
We have a new donut shop opening. No, I'm kidding. We don't. Not yet. Not yet. Just a few points for you, a few updates. As we're talking about the Bureau Garage retail space area, the Crescent Street sidewalk and repair works taking place around the Reeser and the garage. It's in progress, and some of the concrete fixes are actively being completed. This work should be wrapped up by July 14th, and that will close all the construction on these projects finally after a few years. In the parking realm, in May, the Traffic Commission approved and the council later adopted a few on-street parking regulation changes on Broadway and Old Beaverton Hillsdale Highway around Madera Beaverton Apartments. Those are based on data evaluation and the new building opening and some existing and business changes along this constrained parking area. So we expect new Broadway signage will be posted by mid-August. And the old BH time limits and enforcement hours will be posted next month in mid-July. And we'll have a couple ADA spaces added, one on Broadway and one on Old BH Highway. We're currently evaluating and bringing substantial information to the Traffic Commission next fiscal year, so probably within the next 6 months. For enforcement hours in Old Town and Central Beaverton, but we're going to give some time in Broadway changes so we can assess and evaluate how those are operating in that area. And we have a change to the residential on-street parking permit. They're now required to be renewed quarterly, and this syncs up with the employee permits. And so that makes all downtown on-street permits now mirror each other. They renew quarterly. And we're also doing a fee evaluation for both the residential and employee permits. And we'll have a council work session on those fees, a discussion in September. And we'll make sure to notice all permit holders before we make any progress there with a fee schedule. And then finally, with the downtown parking compliance pilot program, that program's been extended to the end of this year. So we're having discussions with our internal stakeholders related to the program's future. Janine has not only been trying to do a lot of property work around Beaver Dam, but she also was the manager for the Hall Center development solicitation. And so last week that solicitation closed and the review will progress over the summer. And we expect to have a recommendation for the Bureau Board for that property ready at the September meeting. You may have seen in the spreadsheet, the city was awarded another round of EPA funding for $500,000 worth of brownfield grants that we can use on redevelopment sites and assisting with pre-development environmental assessments. And that funding will be available later this year in December. And then at the kiosk at the city park, the kiosk will be open this summer as the economic development team facilitated a lease with a small business called Snacktopia. They'll provide seasonal snacks through the summer and into the fall. And then lastly, Kara, I think we did acknowledge that. She's done a great job kind of stepping in as one of the project managers for the Loop, the demonstration project. It's a lot of extra work. I do want to acknowledge too that the skills and the coordination of Lee Crabtree has also been a great help and helped to co-manage aspects of this demonstration project with Kara. So when we lost a staff member, someone had to pick up that work, and those two have been very phenomenal in kind of co-managing that big scope of work. So that's all I have to report tonight, Chair.
Thank you, Andy. Any comments or questions for Andy? I've got a couple. First, congratulations to Jose and staff who worked on the Brownfields grant. I was really excited when we received that again. Secondly, I guess my only other question is Broadway Street. We just mentioned it for parking. Board Member Hassan mentioned it indirectly earlier, I believe. Broadway Street up near Binary and the Madeira housing is closed today and being ripped up. I'm just curious, do we have a timeline for when that's expected to be complete or what work is being done there? Is that related to the housing project?
Yeah, they were doing some utility trench work today, and it should have been just today. And that's in preparation for the final aspect of paving for that project to get to certificate of occupancy next week. We're expecting 2 days of paving for that, and they'll need an approved traffic control plan and all of that. And we'll make sure to coordinate and communicate with businesses when that work is happening. Don't have the exact schedule yet. We just know that they're anticipating next week. So we're trying to get the final details from their contractor.
Okay. And this kind of goes back to some of Board Member Duggar's earlier comments about business communication. So if we just make sure that they know what's going on, what to expect, that would help them out a lot too.
Yeah, understood.
Okay. I don't see any other comments, any other names in the chat. So unless anybody raises their hand now or speaks up, this will be the end of our business. Okay. So with that, our next Bureau Board meeting will be on August 26th, 2025, and we will adjourn this Bureau Board meeting. And so everybody have a good night. It's good to see you all. Good work.
Thank you.